essential for us here on Long Island. So there's plenty of work, and Glen Cove's doing all it can to create jobs and build its future.
Talk about getting kicked in the teeth. Over in the town of Hempstead, for the lighthouse, you're getting kicked in the teeth by one side. For the lighthouse light proposal, you're getting kicked in the teeth from the other side. How are your teeth going now?
Well, thanks, Joe. I think I may have to get a new one, some new teeth. But really and truly, I'm very happy that I'm not running this year. I didn't run this year because that election was pretty rugged. And so I ran last year, and I guess we're doing okay because I won with 87% of the vote. And that, that speaks, highly of what's going on in the town of Hempstead. We were kicked in the teeth with the original project of the lighthouse, but again, we had to stick to what was best for our community. And many people did not understand that, but I think in the end, they will realize it because anytime you go down Hempstead Turnpike now, even without the lighthouse project, you cannot move. But we did come up with something which I think is feasible and will work in the town of Hempstead and certainly will bring more jobs and help with economic development. And very soon, we will take that up in our meetings so that the entire board will be able to vote on that project. And it's called Lighthouse Light. And so we're doing a rezoning so that we will be able to have total input from everybody in the community. It was a really very, very dense project that was proposed, and certainly we had so many different inputs from the community. So we really had to go on that, and we had to go on what was best for the town.
I'm sorry, can you pass along a message to Supervisor Murray? Tell her I really would like to see her here one day.
Well, I'll tell her, but I don't know about that.
Same thing with Frank
So, but I can also say, I want to say that the town of Hempstead is doing well. We actually held the taxes on our budget, our general budget for the year 2011. We're not raising taxes, and yet we still maintain all the services that we have always, given to our residents. So I think they're happy. But with what I feel is most important is the fact we have councilman districts in our area. And we, as council people, really are in those districts. I'm in my district, and I know what's going on. And what's more important is the fact that the community is totally involved with everything that we do. We don't do anything in my district unless we meet with the community first.
Thank you. Let's get back to smart growth a little bit. And I'm still going to keep Ski Mountain kind of off to the side. You think if you change the name actually to Ski Mountain that you might
moving in a different direction, I think.
Steve Flotterin came in, and I wanted to give him an opportunity to talk to me about, from your perspective as a council member with an angry electorate. Again, what is your town going to do? You're going to step forward, or you're going to pull back?
Well, just like the last election, you heard the colorful person saying the rent's too damn high. Well, part of the reason is because the taxes are too damn high. So one, the town was proud to say we didn't have a tax increase, but going forward really more on smart growth is that town of Islip has been successful in doing smart growth, a lot of things in downtown Bayshore, some things in central Islip, etc. But part of the reason it's happening is that so you don't have just an angry mob coming out against something. I try to engage the community first, so they end up becoming the advocates for the projects. And you have to, again, and with that, you have to do good design, good architecture with good materials. Then they embrace the project more. Because a lot of Long Island, you hear that term, we're scared about the queensing of Long Island. But again, if you design it right and you use good materials, the people embrace it.
Let me ask you by a show of hands, how many of you guys have, and girls, ladies, women, whatever, how many of you all have projects working near train stations? Just by a show of hands. Any building near train stations? Train stations, okay. How many of you guys have, how many of you officials have multifamily units either approved or in the planning stages? Multifamily units. Okay. Now, what's interesting here is that 5 years ago when we first started this panel, and John knows this, it was a lot of hand-wringing that nothing was getting done. now there seems to be a lot of stuff going on out there. Do you agree with that one? So the first question I want to ask you is what's the one that got away? What's the one that you thought, because over 5 years period here, what's the one that you thought was going to work but actually didn't work? And what's the one that actually worked and why? Tick-tock.
All right. You know, I think of all the projects, and it probably cuts across everyone here on the dais, it's the change in economic times that kind of threw a wrinkle into a lot of things. In Mineola, we had approved some projects as condominiums, only to have to come back afterwards, given the tougher economic times and the realities that funding for condominiums it's just not out there right now. We had to reconsider one of our projects, and we'll be approving it as rentals. So sometimes it takes tough economic times to force local communities to reevaluate projects. The project was important to us. It has all of the elements of smart growth and transit-oriented development. We wanted the project, and we wanted what the project represents for our own downtown and future, but we had to reconsider one of the elements, that is insisting that it be owner-occupied and condominiums in these difficult economic times. Financing simply wasn't available, so we had to take a step back, reevaluate, and I'm happy to report the County Planning Commission yesterday signed off on the project as a matter for local determination, and our board will, in most likelihood, be approving it at our next meeting. So,
Now, you had to overcome some opposition on some of these things. How did you manage to do that?
you know what? Well, the opposition came from our sister village to the south.
That would be Garden City.
That would be Garden City. You know, you've heard a common theme here today, and that is, you know, when these projects are proposed, I think, first of all, it requires a commitment from your local elected officials. You know, people want the baton. They want to be the guy who gets the ball, the gal who gets the ball and punches it through the line. Part of our responsibility as elected officials is to take stances that sometimes put ourselves at risk. There are fights worth fighting, and we have to realize that. So in my case, it was a number of different projects and understanding that our village, if it were to move forward, would have to rely on smart growth principles and accept the reality of greater density in our downtown around our train station. So once you make that decision, then you have to get the public and the residents in the village behind you. So we were able to do that. As these projects were presented, the opposition wasn't so much from residents in our own village, but sometimes from people outside the village who came in to oppose it.
We have a whole table over here. Anybody brave enough to step forward?